Right. So, what we discussed in the earlier session about the two different services in reference to the IT organizations is concerned. So, followed by this, if an organization wants to go with RFP, so what is that they have to do and how they come up with RFP means what aspects they have to consider. So that I have given an example in the earlier session, right? So I've taken retail store as an example. In that retail store, there were two things. One, either they want to settle down the existing problems which they were facing. Either it can be system performance or it can be data centralization, all that. The second thing depends on the business goals, what they wants to achieve in near days, in near times, near future, near years. They want an operation, they want to make their operational process, especially billing related stuff, must be much smoother, right? So that's what generally their business, they want some kind of solution, right, for that. Now, what they do for that, the very first thing, what organizations do is called EOI, which stands for EOI. EOI stands for expression of interest. Expression of interest. Right? So expression of interest, we call it as EOI. EOI. Expression of interest means like whatever the organizations want someone to provide solution and all. Usually, they usually, in general terms, there will be of two things. One is these publications, whatever the publishing of expression of interest and all everything will be in two different ways. Either it is in a printed media and second is a digital media. Printed media, you know, right? So because in regular newspapers, we get this EOIs, all that. So especially in reference to the IT applications globally, there will be different blocks. So where online tendering processes and all everything will be held. So there generally there is a concept of EOI, which stands for expression of interest. So they brief about what they are and they expect someone to reach expression of interest. Like if anybody is interested, who can provide solutions for XYZ kind of, right? So they'll offer it, right? So this is where generally expression of interest stands for. But here we have to understand a context of two different stakeholders, because there were stakeholders who are from the client side. There are stakeholders who are from the vendor side. Okay, two different things. Because whenever we are applying for pre-sales jobs, especially, because this is a line of point which we guys, people have to understand. The reason I'm explaining this to you, because there is a line of difference, because there is some confusion over here. Most of the people may feel. So the reason I'm giving this clarification to you, which some people feel it. Pre-sales is a concept. An individual has to understand, a person has to understand from two different things. Let's say, for example, there are some there are some job opportunities we get as a pre-sales consultant. Sometimes in non-IT companies. Non-IT companies means, for example, an organization is into manufacturing, okay, or organization into healthcare, etc., etc. So they want some pre-sales consult. They want some people who wants to have experience in developing RFPs, all that. Okay. I don't say them it's called pre-sales people, but usually they want some people who can prepare RFPs and all. Means organization using some applications, either these applications to upgrade to the next level or to develop a new application or migration related. They want some expertise people in their organizations who can develop RFPs. RFPs, RFQs, and RFI, right? So there are three things we have. RFP, RFQ, RFI. Okay. So RFP stands for request for proposal. This is a prominent thing which most of the people know that, right? So request for proposal. Second, RFQ, which stands for request for quotation. Next, RFI stands for request for information. This is a line of difference only, request for information, but request for proposal means, let's say if you have taken a manufacturing industry, they want some ERP application to develop for their business needs. Let's say, for example. So what they have to do, because there will be a management team, that management team's responsibility is to understand what sort of application is really needed in our organization. So by identifying the gaps, they have to identify what kind of application, what must be the features and functionalities that application should consist of. So based on that, they have to come up with an RFP document. This is where generally request for proposal stands for. RFP means we are requesting people to send a proposal document. Means we are expecting people to send proposals. Right? So for that, especially if you have taken from the client side, client or a customer, whoever they, right? For example, let me use a word called client. Client means people who are expecting a solution. Those people are called as clients. Vendor means person who is providing services against to the problem are called vendors, means software companies. Okay, now in manufacturing industry want some ERP application to develop, they must come up with RFP. Means some people must have experience to develop RFP, which stands for request for proposal. Means in that request for proposal, they must have a clear understanding over for what purpose they were expecting a solution, what must be the solution, what are the rules and regulations, do's and don'ts, are they having any expectation in reference to the solution is concerned. Prior to that, briefing about their organization. So in which department or in which division they want some solution to be provided by addressing the exact business problem. So they have to mention all these in the RFP document. Okay. So RFP is the document which will be released by the client against to the interest of the people, whoever wants to provide solutions. So expression of interest means they'll publish digitally, either print media or digitally. They send a proposal to the people, says that expression of interest. Expression of interest means we so and so, we want so and so. So whoever is interested, please reach us. Now, let's say, for example, in this context of the example we have taken, let's say, for example, an organization want a point of sale system to be developed. Means assume that it's already there, application was there, but they have some business problem. Hence, they want to have a uniform solution which must cater to the needs of the present, followed by the future also. That's their intention behind this. So what they do, whenever software companies approaches the client, right? So this retail company, these people will issue an RFP document, which stands for request for proposal. Request for proposal means they will mention all the details as I stated. So they'll mention about what exactly the problem they were, right? So what are their expectations, right? So next, at the same time, criterias. This is where we call it as qualification criteria. Normally, qualification criterias are two different things. So one is financial criteria, the second one is technical criteria. So what's the difference? Financial criteria means organization, whoever is planning to participate in bidding, means people who wants to participate in, because through bidding only we will select the vendors, right? So we don't select vendors directly. That will be very, very limited and minute. But normally, against to the bidding, usually we'll select the what we call, we will select the against in the bidding process, in the proposal, in the bidding document itself, we finalize the vendors. So what normally do here? So against to the RFP document, in this RFP document, we have to mention two criteria. One is financial criteria and second is a technical criteria. So what is financial criteria? Financial criteria means people who are interested to participate in the bidding process must have this financial eligibility, means this organization should have this much of turnover in last 3-4 years or in last 5-6 years or etc. etc. They must have completed at least 1 or 2 or 3, whatever it is, depends on their depends on their interest and all, right? At least they must develop successfully, they must have developed some POS systems earlier, right? So with this budget, right? So these are all comes under the financial criteria. So financial criteria means knowing about the financialities of the project. Am I not clear to you, Johnny? Is it
Yeah,
still
Raj,
the
it
same?
was yeah, disconnecting, and it was automatically uh, reinitiating the call.
Give me a minute. Am I audible now? Can you see?
Yes, sir, Daniel. But it was automatically disconnecting, and it was
Now you see.
reconnecting.
I just
Yeah.
connected from mobile data. Just confirm once. How is it now? Because earlier it was on Wi-Fi. Now I have changed it to mobile data. How is this now? Is it clear?
Yeah, it was clear. Yeah,
If there is any disconnection, again, just do let me. Okay. While I'm going.
yeah.
Clear, Johnny? Understood?
Okay, Raj. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Right. So when it comes to the request for proposal, as I told you, there are two criteria. One is financial criteria and second was a technical criteria. So when it comes to the financial criteria, whoever must participate on the bidding process must have this much of turnover in last 4 years or 5 years, and they must have completed at least 1 or 2 point of sale system solutions for so and so customers, something of that sort, budget related, right? This is where generally financial criteria. So why financial criteria? Financial criteria is to make sure whichever the organization is participating in the bidding must be in a live state, means it is still in the active state of doing services, providing business. At the same time, we have to make sure these people are experienced in developing so and so solutions, right? This is where financial followed by technical criteria. Technical criteria means they must have experience in developing point of sale system earlier for some of the customers, in last maybe for 4 years, at least 1 or 2 customers, right? So these are all the criterias will be mentioned over there. So it's not usually whenever we talk about bidding, whenever we are going for proposals, so we don't encourage, usually in the market, usually we don't encourage everyone to participate, because there must be a criteria which usually we consider, we expect. So those criterias were falls under two categories, as I mentioned you. One is about financial criteria. Second was the technical criteria. Now, whoever is eligible in these two grounds, normally they are eligible to take the those are eligible for participation in the bidding process. Now, if they wants to participate in the bidding process, prior to that, they have to submit a quotation. Quotation, nothing but that is where generally we call it as RFQ, which stands for request for quotation. Whatever request for quotation is a financial quotation, I mean to say. But if you want to provide a financial quotation, if any organization wants to provide a financial quotation and all that, it's always important for us to know about what exactly the project was, what is that are we developing, and for what purpose are we developing. That sort of understanding and idea must be there. This is where generally we need to know, we need to understand. So if there is any financial quotation to submit, of course, whatever the types of quotations we follow, so let us discuss that later. So end of the day, people who are ready to provide solutions and all should have a clear understanding over the details over what is that they wants to develop, for what purpose, for what reason, etc. The reason why, whenever the pre-sales consultants, right? So that's where majorly the role of a pre-sales consultant, if you can see. So pre-sales consultants are the people should have a knowledge over the conceptual solution design. This is where it was. So what is conceptual solution design? Sometimes I'm not generalizing this statement for all the companies, because some organizations want some pre-sales consultant team as a team, I'm saying, okay, not by individual. Pre-sales consultants must be from the technical side. Technical side means because they should have a knowledge over the technology, so that they could understand about the practical difficulties which are involved in it. So they could assess what exactly the systems and all everything. This is where generally, when you talk about solution design, some organizations expect people should have a knowledge over the technical side. This is one area. Again, I'm repeating, underline this point. Some organizations expect pre-sales consultants from the technical side. Depends on the type of organization they are and the kind of role that pre-sales consultant wants to perform. So they expect person from the technical side so that the effectiveness will be more. But for some organizations, they don't require, because pre-sales consultants, usually if you take pre-sales team as a team, pre-sales team is a combination of multiple people, right? So pre-sales team, you have sales people, whoever is having experience in sales development, negotiations and all, they'll be part of the team. When you talk about pre-sales team, I'm talking about. Next, people, whoever is having experience in the field of project management, right? So especially whenever who are working on the project management, those people will also be a part of the pre-sales team, because project management professionals usually come from the technical background, because project managers, especially in the field of IT, normally we see they are not functional people. Okay, project management means a person whoever is having experience in the field of IT, either they may started their career from the programming, whoever has experiencing to develop the solutions and all for a very long time, right? So at least 2 to 3 life cycles experience, whoever is having, those people usually becomes project managers in coming years. That's how generally this transformation happened, because by the time For almost 10, 12 years, they worked into technology. So they get experience to manage people also, right? Managing people, managing teams, understanding the logic behind the financialities, right? So understanding the logic behind the team size, team effort, right? So all these things they will be experienced if they are working for projects for two, three life cycle projects, at least I'm saying. So a person, whoever is from project management side, will also works as a pre-sales team, also a part of pre-sales team. The reason why, if you have seen some people having experience in project management for a very long time, works in the pre-sales. Some people, I don't say everyone, some people will be in the pre-sales team also, because pre-sales team are the front layer people, or a front layer people who are interacting with the customer, right? When we are interacting with the customer, it's not only about the functionality or the business perspective of the customer, but it is equally important for us to know about the technicalities also. Because I told you in the beginning of the session also, usually projects and solutions will be of three categories. Either customer has an existing application and they want you to upgrade this application to the next level. This is where generally migration they may expect from legacy systems to the new application. This is one kind of. Second kind of is they want an exclusive application or a solution to be provided from the scratch. Third thing is that they have an existing product or they have an existing application and they want to have some customizations against to the business rules and the government mandates, whichever is happening. This will be a continuation process. So three kind of things will be there in the field of IT. So obviously a person who will be in the pre-sales team as a team, not by individual, must have experience from the functional side, must have experience from the technical side. Sometimes out of the experience what that individual has, some people will have both the skills also, because again that is subject to the expertise what they have, right? Some people will have found strong functional knowledge also, apart from the technical knowledge, depends on the expertise what they have given, right? So all these things are comes under that category, right? So project management people will be involved in it. At the same time, even people whoever is having experience in the field of business analysis, because business analyst people are the one who understand the functional knowledge of a particular organization, right? So they know about the functionalities of a particular business so that they can understand where the problem was and how it is going to be affected. So they can understand very fast. The reason why business analyst people will be also be a part of it. Next, the solution architect people, architects, because again, solution architect is a role which can be diversified into different areas. Because architect is a common role, right? Architect means people who provide architecture. What kind of architecture it can be? It can be a data architecture, right? So means if you are dealing with about the data of the particular project, right? For example, if you have taken a retail store, data relating to the customer data, people who has purchased the products. At the same time, managing the stock inventory, right? So these are all something relating to the data. So this is where data architecture come into picture. Next, applications architecture means existing applications, whatever is using and what sort of applications they were and how these applications were interconnected and interrelated. Next, systems or infrastructure architecture means how the system and infrastructure was built in the organization. It was built, right? This is the third level. Next is four is business architecture means how the business functionality is on a high level view. Based on the business goals, based on the business strategies and decisions and all. So how this business functionality is happening, right? So this is where generally business architecture stands for. It can, because business architecture have lot many things. Business architecture have business goals. Let me explain you that. I'll show you that you can have an idea of it. Just give me a second. Johnny, are you there? Are you listening? Are you there? Are you there or not? I cannot hear you. Are you there? I cannot hear you. Are you there? Am I not able to hear you? Are you not able to hear me?
I'm able to hear you.
Okay. So this is where generally business architecture stands for, right? So if you have taken, so architects will be of different types. That's what I'm saying, right? So it can be data architects. It can be application architects. It can be system or infrastructure architects. It can be business architects also. Business architects means business architecture. What are all will be involved in business architecture? These are all will be involved in the business architecture. So policies, rules, and regulations means, for example, if you have taken a retail, am I not audible? Is that my voice is breaking? Is that my voice is breaking? Am I not audible?
Yes, sir, the voice is breaking. Yes, sir, the voice is breaking.
Am I not clear?
Now you are clear. While delivering, it was breaking.
Okay. You see, if you have any any breaking again, you just do let me know. Because since afternoon it is happening, I think so. Okay, anyway,
Okay.
please check again. Right. So this is where generally business architecture come into picture. Now, when you talk about this business architecture is aligned with these many things. So one is, for example, if you have taken retail store as an example, as in when we have taken, let's say customer is from the retail segment. They are expecting us to develop a point of sale system. So we must understand about what are the policies, rules, and regulations this organization has, right? What policies and procedures, rules, and regulations the particular organization has, because the kind of applications they were using, the kind of infrastructure they are managing, or the business activities, everything are aligned with policies and rules and regulations only. So we must be knowing about what are the policies, procedures, rules, and regulations that organization has. This is point number one. Next, we must be knowing about who are their customers, partners, and competitors, because this is where generally internally we have to understand. If you have taken retailing as a concept, so who are customers for retailers? People who come to the shop and who buy the products, right? So they are their customers. So what they expect, they expect that whatever the reason why they were coming to the shop, all the products must be available. Point number one. It must be in a affordable cost, means a competitive cost. At the same time, the billing must be done very faster and so accurate. There shouldn't be any kind of defects further. Right? This is what generally customer expectations are. Now, vision and strategies and tactics. Vision means what organization wants to reach in future. Because in the beginning, I told you, I have explained that. To reach that vision, what are the strategies an organization is applying or following? So to implement that strategies, what are the tactics, right? So these are all comes under the business architecture part. Next, we must be knowing about what are the initiatives an organization is taking, what are the projects they are working on, and what businesses they were into, right? What are their products and services, right? So for example, what metrics and measurements. Metrics means to evaluate the performance of the organization. Are they following any metrics to see how the performance of the business is happening, sales is happening? So for that, are they using any kind of tools? In what way these tools are interconnected with the present problem, right? So to assess all that, we must have a knowledge over the business architecture. So this is where business architects come into picture. So do understand, when it comes to the pre-sales activity, being a consultant of a pre-sales we are working on, it's not only about an individual responsibility we are doing, we are performing, but it is also important for us to understand this from the context of interacting with other stakeholders also. So we must be competent enough to interact with other stakeholders, and we have to interact with other people, even architect people, project management people, all that. So as I mentioned, you architects were from different segments, right? So business architects are separate, architect people were separate, data architect people will be separate. It can be application architect people will be as separate. Let's say, for example, we want to develop a cloud application. Then cloud architects, people, whoever is having experience in the cloud environment and whoever is having knowledge over the three services in cloud. Because in cloud, there are three services. One is infrastructure services as separate. Because in the cloud service provider, cloud services, let's say, for example, if you have taken AWS as a cloud service provider to develop an application. So infrastructure, because you want infrastructure to develop the application. So that services are different. So or else we can opt for platform, we can opt for software. So those are all comes under cloud architect. So when we have taken high level requirements from the customer, so if you want to submit any financial proposal or technical proposal to the customer, so there will be lot many people involvement. This is where most of the organizations will expect you to give a project proposal. This is where generally project management proposal. Sometimes some organizations, some customers will ask you to develop project proposal. Project proposal consists of what you have understood so far and how you are planning to develop the project, what initiative and what strategy you are making out of it. From the technical perspective, I'm saying all that, right? So if you want to give a technical detailing to the customer, right? So because we need to sign an agreement for end of the day, right? If everything goes fine, we have to sign an agreement. So for that, there are different hands must put together in it, because business people will be involved because they study about the business functionality perspective, because there are different perspectives. Financial perspective will be there, technical perspective will be there, right? Lot many people has to be involved in it. So all this based on what? All this based on the RFP document. This is where generally RFP come into picture. So if you have seen many of the job profiles, especially whenever we are working on, it is always been around request for proposal document only. The remaining things hardly you can see. These two hardly you can see, because quotation based on the proposal. So if you are a pre-sales consultant, there will be two kind of things. One is must have experience in developing request for proposals, point number one. Point number two, whatever the request for proposal was given by the customer, one should have a knowledge over how to study and understand the request proposal. This is point number two. So having experience in developing RFPs is one area. Sometimes whatever the request for proposal submitted by the customer, understanding the essence of RFP is also the second level. So if we wants to work under pre-sales side, must have a knowledge over two things. One is how to develop RFPs and how to understand the proposals. These are the two areas we must be good with. So this is where generally request for proposals come into picture. So based on the request for proposals, normally we have to come up with a project management plan. Project management plan consists of everything. So for example, this is what the business goal customer is having. Okay. So this is what the business goal they have. So based on the business goal, these are the solutions they are expecting, right? So this is what generally the solutions we have identified.